Before we have the recording, I had to get a little crazy in there, right? Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm so thrilled to have so many of you joining us for this awesome book club. We're so excited to get going with this book. This is going to be a good one. Nod if you're super excited about this book. Woo! So awesome. Okay, really quick before we jump into this, you know what's crazy? I've learned this over the last 2 years, well, year and a half really, of sharing Plexus, that yes, we have awesome systems that are proven to be incredibly successful, right? We've got top producers coming out of our teams right and left, right? We have the most amazing leaders. We have everything we could ever want. We have the how-tos, right? We know exactly what to do. We know all of that. But here's what I know is that if we don't work on our personal development, if we don't become better people, all of that doesn't matter, right? And I used to kind of, I'll be really honest, you guys, in the very beginning, I was super snarky. If you haven't noticed, I think I'm kind of a stubborn girl. Like before Plexus, I was super stubborn and raunchy about it. I was like, I don't want to do Plexus. That's really sweet. Well, book club came along and I was like, oh, that's really sweet. You think I have time to sit there and do a book study? Who has time for that? Like, thanks, but no thanks. But I have learned over the last 2 years that personal development is what makes or breaks someone. That's it. Like anybody can do Plexus. I say that with 100% confidence. Anyone that really commits and digs in and sticks in this thing for the long haul will be successful, period. End of story. That's all there is to it. But the determining factor is if people are willing to grow, willing to be uncomfortable, and willing to work on themselves personally. So that's why I feel like book club was one of those cute little things that I didn't have time for, but it's become the absolute bread and butter of what we do because it separates the people from actually making this work and not. And so I'm so, so grateful. Oh yeah, Kimberly, I love seeing your cute face. It is everything, you guys. No matter what we get thrown in our businesses, no matter what kind of BS we step in, no matter what kind of hard stuff we encounter, no matter how many people tell us no, no matter how many people tell us we're crazy or ignore us or don't talk about it because they're afraid to talk about your success, all of that is okay. It's part of the journey. We are the determining factors. We are the ones that can decide if we are going to stay the course and if we're going to commit. And personal development is at the very, very core of what we do. And it fires me up and it makes me have chills. Besides that, like I'm so passionate about personal development in every way, reading books, listening to things, just being conscious and aware, like this is my thing. So I'm so excited to start this book. And thank you so much for showing up. And more than you showing up, thank you for promoting this to your teams. Oh, you want to screen share, Liz? That sounds great. Are you going to show us your goods here? Let me see if I can figure view options. Hide. Well, let's see. Liz. I wonder. Liz, can you go up to the top and it will say stop sharing? There we go. Thank you. You're so amazing. And I'm not going to share our screen. I know, seriously, Kim, I was like, oh, hopefully she doesn't have something naughty on her screen that she's going to let us all see, right? Thanks for being an honest person behind the scenes as well as in front of the scenes. Okay, we're going to get on with this, you guys, because this is such amazing information. And I just want you to know you're not just going to hear from me every single time, because I'm sure that might get a little bit boring and you might be like, oh my gosh, someone else, please. We're going to share this. You're so sweet, Erica. We're going to share the love so everybody has a chance to kind of lead the discussions and share what you got out of the chapters for each week. Okay, so how many of you, did you read this? Did most of you read these chapters, the first 2 chapters? You guys kind of have a, yay, you kind of know what happened. We don't need to like go into too much because truly it was kind of hard to cut out stuff. I read through to kind of pick out things to talk about and I was like, oh, it's so hard. I just want to read the whole thing, but I won't because I know you guys have all read it. Okay, the secret code of success. chapter 1. He says, what's wrong with this picture? And he talks about how it's estimated that Americans spend 11 billion, that's a B, 11 billion a year on self-help products. $11 billion. Okay, so he says, you know, between the exercise programs, the books that we read, the workshops that we pay for, the diet pills, all the things that we do that can fall under self-help, it's $11 billion. That is a huge industry, right? So that tells us that people want to be successful, right or wrong. People want, yes, people want to be successful. They want to up-level their lives. They want to make more of themselves. They maybe want to show up as the best version of themselves, right? Okay, but he says, I call most of that information shelf help, right? Because we buy the book, we get the program, and what do we do with it? We put it right up on our shelf, and a lot of times we actually don't dig in because we're human, and that's our human nature. We don't dig in, we don't actually get into it and utilize it and implement and make changes because we just let it sit on the shelf, right? Okay, because there's a problem, and what he's going to point out here is that there is a problem with most approaches to self-help. And I love this. I'm a total student. I love to learn. I love to absorb information. I'm all about it. And I feel like that's a really important part of being successful. But I love his point here. He says, the number one reason most people struggle in life and business, and no, it's not what you think it is, and it's not what you've been told. He's going to talk about what it is. He said, why are millions of people who've spent so much time and money trying to improve themselves still going down the road of life with one foot on the brake? If you can relate to that, one foot on the brake, can you relate to living that way? I lived so much of my life that way, wanting to be successful, doing some things to take action, but at the end of the day, I was holding myself back in one way or another. And he says, okay, so what causes human behavior? While there is many ways to answer this question, he says, I feel like the simplest solutions tend to create the best and long-lasting results. So he goes on to explain why the scales of success are where it's all at, where the answer is. So picture a scale, and here's the picture. For those of you that don't have the book or didn't read it yet, here's the scale, okay? So the scale of success. On one side, it says the why to's, so the benefits. And on the other side, it says the why not to's, so the costs. And he says, on one plate, you'll have your why to's. These are your internal motives and reasons why. And then on the other side, you have your why not to's, and these are your internal reasons why not to do something. So these are internal. These are not things that we say. They're not things that we maybe just say to try to look good or say to try to talk ourselves into it. It's our internal whys and why not to's. So he talks about, again, just to kind of illustrate the point, he says, okay, so your perceived why to's or benefits of reading this book might include, maybe you want to learn what the most successful people in the world do. Maybe you want to make more money. Maybe you want to stop self-sabotaging. Maybe you want to have better relationships. Maybe you want to take more vacations. Maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you want to find the love of your life, buy a new car, quit the job you hate. And he said, did I mention I want to finally get my foot off that stinking brake? Okay, so these are reasons why, your internal reasons why you would read this book, okay? And then your internal your internal why not to's or costs might include, so maybe you heard that we were doing book club, and like me, you were stubborn, and you were like, oh, that's really sweet. I have a million other things I could be doing with my time. Who's that guy? Why should I read what he has to say? The Secret Code of Success. Ooh, sounds really cool. And that was me. Oh, what's he going to say that's going to be so revolutionary? Sarcastic little stubborn brat over here. What if it works for everybody else but not for me? What if I don't have time to do this? Did I mention all the things I could be doing right now? Guys, our time is precious. So precious. Why would we spend our time digging into this book and getting on a discussion call? So those are the why not to's, maybe the reasons that would make sense for you to not do this, okay? Your mind is like an infinite weighing machine. Every moment your mind is weighing your perceived. I love how he put that in italics. your perceived benefit against your perceived cost of doing any behavior of activity. You are constantly weighing. We're constantly weighing, okay, would the cost outweigh the benefit? Would this really make sense for me? So he says, all of these things are going to be determined by your why to's and why not to's. In fact, I love this. Every decision you've ever made in your life was based on your internal why to's and why not to's. Your reason why you thought you should do the thing versus the reasons not to do the thing. Every decision that we have made up to this point, whether we knew it or not, or whether we believed it or not, was a result of our scales of success. We weighed the whys to the why not to's. Okay, so what does this have to do with success? Why does this matter? He said, so are you telling me that this means I don't want to succeed? This whole scale idea, does this mean that I don't want to? And he says, of course not. Human beings are motivated by success, getting, having, and keeping the things that we want. We are motivated by success. Success looks different for everyone. Success can be defined differently by every single person on this call has a different definition for success. Yes, that's right, Matt. But we are all motivated by success. We all want to have success, okay? So here's the hidden reason why we're stuck. Picture an iceberg. I love, love, love this analogy. So here's for the people that didn't read or don't have access to the book. Here's the iceberg. So on the top, here's your conscious choice. So that's your perceived why to's. And right here, well, I'm not going to go there yet. That is your conscious choice. So that's saying, of course I want to be successful. That's your conscious things that you say, things that you put out there that are legitimate and they're obvious. This is your subconscious. No choice, okay? So he says the iceberg of consciousness, and then right here is the line of consciousness. So right here is what separates it, and this is so fascinating to me. Okay, so he says, according to scientific research, your conscious mind makes up less than 10% of your total brain function. That means that the subconscious mind, or the unintentional aspect of your mind, represents more than 90% of your total brain function. Okay, did you hear that? 10% is the stuff that we're aware of, our thoughts that we are aware of, that we choose. Then most 90% of our thoughts are unconscious. And it's saying that we don't have a choice because they're unconscious, they're internal. Is that a little alarming to you guys? That's a little alarming to me, and it makes me want to get in there and turn on some lights about what's going on down there, right? Okay. So they do get, that's funny I said that, because he does give an example. He says, look around at the room you're in right now. Now pretend I turned all the lights off, okay? And then I ask you, okay, Crystal, will you go and rearrange the furniture in your room right now? The lights are out. I know you can't see, but I want you to rearrange all the furniture. Well, obviously you're going to say, I'm not sure if I can do that because I can't see, right? Okay, so does that mean that you are incapable of rearranging furniture because you can't do it with the lights off? Of course not. It means you are perfectly capable of rearranging furniture when you can see what the heck you're doing, okay? So he says, when you can't see something, it's awfully hard to change it. So he's talking about this 90% down here. It's like turning the lights off and trying to rearrange the furniture. When you have no idea what's down there, is it going to be hard to change it? Yeah, it's going to feel impossible. But is it impossible to change those unconscious thought patterns? No, it's not impossible. It said we can do this, we just can't do it when we can't see it and we can't identify it. Okay. So he says, why are so many people spending these millions and billions of dollars to change things? Why are they still stuck? And he talks about right here, when you put together the scale of success and the iceberg of consciousness, here's the answer. Here's the answer. So he says this top part right here is your why to's, your conscious choice. And then your subconscious is the no choice, okay? So it talks about so how your conscious why to's, which is like, I want to be successful. I want to do plexus. I want to be a diamond. I want to stick with this. I'm so committed. They're all conscious. They're all why to's that are conscious. But the subconscious is something different. He says, have you ever stopped to think about the cost of actually allowing yourself to succeed? Because what we're talking about right now is, of course I want to succeed. And then your unconscious is saying, well, it's holding you back. You have your foot on the brake. So I'm going to unmute it for a second. Guys, I have had so many moments in my Plexus career where I was holding myself back and I didn't know why. And then I had that moment. I think you guys have heard it. Like, it's so weird, but it's always at Starbucks. I don't drink coffee, but I work at Starbucks and I come home smelling like coffee and I love the smell, so it's okay. But there was a couple of times when I went to Starbucks and I had that shift where it's like my unconscious, I turned on the lights, flipped on the lights, and I was like, no. We're not doing that. We're doing this. Come upstairs. We're going to do some conscious thought patterns. But they were things like I was afraid of momentum. I remember when I was almost Ruby and I had my one foot on the brake, I wasn't asking people to post because I was like, but then that would mean that I'd have a lot of work to do, and then I'd have momentum, and then I would have my family, and then I would be too busy, and then I wouldn't be in the moment, and then I'd be a crazy person. Yes, I love it, Kim. You guys, so those moments when I recognize, like, what? I have my foot on the brake. What is going on? That's the cost of success, but it's totally a mind game. What can you guys think of any time in your business or in your life when you were not recognizing the cost of success, or maybe you were buying into that lie? When you were like, oh, I don't want to, you subconsciously were holding yourself back because you were afraid of succeeding. You realize that cost and you're buying into that. Can you guys think of it?
We were just talking about that today, actually, where for me personally, I've had like 50 aha moments in the last few weeks. I've been listening to leadership videos and all this stuff. And some of my people are on here, but it was interesting because there were several things where I was like, I know what to do. What is it that I need to do to get to this certain point, from point A to point B? And a lot of it is the cost of success, but a lot of it too is, understanding and prioritizing how I fill my plate. I mean, we all have a full plate. We do. That's life. And so it's a matter of reorganizing and reshifting and prioritizing and deciding what's more important and what are my priorities and what do I want to take up my time and what do I want to fill that with. But am I willing to do what it takes to be that leader I want to be? I know I'm going to be a diamond. I do know that. But how fast do I want to go, and how far am I going to go to get there, and how quickly am I going to put those things in place so that I can? And that's huge. It's a huge eye opener because it's like, if I'm one step away, what am I going to do to get there? And what am I doing that's holding me back? And I know I was able to honestly open this up and be like, okay, wow, my list. And it was just a big, huge eye opener. But that's what I mean by that personal development. If you can't do that, you can't grow because there are going to be roadblocks, but most of them are in your head. So that was my realization.
I love that. And it's like you flip on the lights, and like maybe we can use that from now on, because it's like things that grow in the dark when they're alone and it's dark and people are letting it fester, they can keep growing. But we flip those freaking lights on and we're like, wait, whoa, what's going on here? We can identify that crap and we can say, whoa, not in my house. No, we're going to take ownership. We're going to own this. Okay, Matt, tell us, what's your moment?
I had thought, it's actually not a moment, it's what I thought when I read the chapters. I thought it's really the difference between negative self-talk and positive self-talk. Because when you allow that negative self-talk, how often do you share that with people around you? And how often does the positive self-talk get followed up with negative self-talk? I can do this. No, you can't. And so being able to recognize when you're using negative self-talk and saying, that's my subconscious telling me, that's my foot on the brake telling me I can't do this. And so being able to be aware of that and then using positive reinforcement, positive self-talk. And I just noticed you doing that, Christy, even there, I got this, I can do this, replacing that kind of stuff.
Yes, absolutely, Matt. Thank you for sharing that. Like, that's what
Ambassador.
Woo! A fan! We love it. Seriously, that's what we're all about. And that is the difference between the people that make it and the people that don't. Because things that grow in dark places where no one's addressing it, that stuff is what is like poison to our souls, to our belief. And it's that unconscious crap that's not addressed. But the second we flip the lights on and we start to go, whoa, whoa, what's going on here? No, 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 you're grounded, you're exiled, screw you. Like, then we start to get somewhere, right? But we got to flip those freaking lights on and start going. Okay, so right here, I love this. This is kind of the finished illustration. It says up here is the why choose and the conscious choice. So those are the things that we know. We want to be successful. We want to be committed. You know, all those things that we're able to say out loud, and we know, and everybody wants to be successful. That's not subconscious. But that's where our why choose are, okay? But then our why not choose are stored down here in the dark. They're stored down here. 90% of our brain function is stored down there in the dark basement where the mold is growing, if we let it. I believe there is a choice. Like, I have a hard time saying no choice. I don't believe that, but I believe that if we are unconscious, if we're not in the moment and we're not aligned, that becomes unconscious. But if we can be in the moment, we can own our thoughts, we can be aware, flip the lights on, we absolutely have a choice of what we rearrange down in the dark basement, right? And what we take the freak out of there. But it's a matter of being aware and turning those lights on. Okay, so he talks about every human wants to be successful on the conscious level. Every human. Those people, yes, that's true, Matt. It's choosing to access it. It's being aware of it. Most of us don't even know that it's there, right? Most of us just walk around kind of like, what? I don't know. It's not my fears. I just don't want to. Well, they don't know that they have an iceberg that's just loaded with all that unconscious why not to's that are holding us back. Okay, so have you ever heard someone say, I don't really want to be successful. I'm good. I'd rather be in debt. I'd rather be miserable. I'd rather have no time. I'd rather be stretched paycheck to paycheck. Have you ever heard anybody say that?
If you did, it's subconscious.
Yes, totally. If someone said that, it's their dark basement speaking. Anyway, their fear, all that stuff that holds them back. Everybody wants to be successful. Again, success is defined differently. I mean, there's probably a gazillion definitions of success, so not everybody has the same definition of success, but every human being wants to be successful, period. That's the way it is. And it says, but because your why not to's of success are hidden in your subconscious mind in that dark basement, he didn't say that, but I say that, it's like you're driving down the road of life with one foot on the brake. So you don't know about that dark basement. You don't know that there's mold growing down there that stinks. It's stinky down there. But if you don't know about it, then you're driving through your life with one foot on the brake, not even knowing it. And you keep buying more self-help books thinking, ooh, this one's going to be it. This is going to be the thing. I'm going to listen to this diamond. I know that's going to make me be able to do this, right? We keep buying into it. And we keep thinking that there's going to be some magical thing, but the stuff stinks. The stuff's in the basement. It's dark down there. It's unidentified. It stinks. No matter what you do, you can't scrape the breeze on that crap. We got to go flip the lights on and start pouring some Clorox and start taking stuff out of there, right? Okay. So why is your foot on the brake? So you're trying really hard to succeed. You're doing all the things, but you start making progress. What you're doing starts to work, okay? And then after all the hard work, all the money you've spent, you start to be coachable. You start to step into it. You start to take action. And guess what happens? We start to feel the fear. The fear comes when we start to make progress. That is exactly where it comes from. We start to feel successful. We start to be in alignment. We start to step into that. So why would someone feel fear when they start to get what they want? Okay, why would that happen? Do you guys have any ideas? Why would that happen? Why do we start feeling fear as soon as we start to get somewhere with our whole vision of where we want to go?
Because it's easy to say and not easy to live. When you say I want to succeed, it's easy to sit there and armchair quarterback. But when you actually get out there and start doing it, you become vulnerable.
Yep, and people want to be safe. Safe, in quotes, it's not safe. He says you do whatever it takes to stop feeling the fear. That's because fear is one of those emotions that we humans will do just about anything to avoid. So rather than I love this. Rather than examining why you might be feeling that feeling, you stop doing what was working. You slam on the brakes, you sabotage yourself, because doing that feels easier than feeling the fear. Can you guys relate to that? You start to feel, oh, you guys, after I hit Emerald, this is crazy. After I hit Emerald, the month after, seriously, Marianne, so true. I felt incredible amounts of fear. I had just gotten my Lexus. I had just started to step into really being an Emerald, and I was seriously self-sabotaging like crazy. I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know, maybe my team thinks, I don't know if I'm a good leader. I don't know if I can do this. It was like the most intense fear I've ever experienced right after I reached a goal that I've been working for. This is not a joke. This is exactly how it works. Okay, then he talks about a feeling is a result, not a cause. Isn't that cool? Sometimes we feel like, oh, I don't want to do it because I'm scared. No. There was something that came before the fear, something in that dark basement. Now the fear is a result of that BS. Feelings don't cause themselves, he says. When you experience an emotion, there's something going on inside of you that caused that feeling. And what causes the so-called fear of success or foot on the brake syndrome? Your hidden subconscious why not to's, that stinky basement. Okay, so he says you are not holding yourself back from success because you don't know how to succeed. You are holding yourself back from success that you are perfectly capable of because you have more why not to's of success than why to's. Okay, that's the good news. We turned on the lights. 90% of that BS is down there, and now we know it. We can start to rearrange furniture, start to weed some crap out, and start to really be intentional about what's down there. Okay, chapter 2, he talks about...
Christy,
Yes?
I think some of that BS stuff is that self-doubt, and that is fed by negative self-talk. So
absolutely.
When you get to that Emerald part and you say, wait a minute, do I really deserve this?
Yep.
What did I ever do to get a Lexus? Because you maybe you had a negative self-image at some point in your life where you said, I don't deserve these kind of things. I don't deserve this much money.
Yeah.
So those things kick in and we say, wait a minute, I'm successful. I shouldn't be. Yep. And why shouldn't we be?
Yep. It's all that dark stuff down below that we're not owning, and the lights are off, so we don't know what's there. It's just like you're saying, it's stuff from our childhood that maybe is, well, people that have Lexuses are snotty, and I'm not snotty. I can't be snotty. People that have Lexuses are high maintenance, and I buy stuff at Walmart. Like, I can't be that person. That's not me. That's a bunch of BS. If someone gives you a Lexus, like, happy freaking day. I'm going to ride that Lexus to the ground, right? Like, hello, I love my Lexus. But it's all that dark stuff that's in the basement that we're unaware of that starts to just creep its nasty head up and make problems. Okay, chapter 2, the little assumptions that's costing you a fortune. Okay, so it says, this is so awesome. He talks about, let's say you want to put a nail in the wall. Of course we can put a nail in the wall. That's super easy to do. Now let's say I really, really believe in you. I want you to succeed. I went out and bought you a brand new shiny chainsaw. Well, is that going to work for putting a nail in the wall? Not really. Okay. So then you say, well, what's wrong? I got you a chainsaw. Can't you put that nail in the wall? And you're like, well, I kind of am struggling. I don't know. And then you go, hey, you just need to set some goals. You need to visualize it. Believe in yourself. Work smarter, not harder. You can do it. How's it going now? Can you do it now? And you're like, Christy, like, I still have a chainsaw and I still have a nail. Those two are not going to go hand in hand. So I'm believing in you. I'm telling you all the right things. You can do it. You're not motivated enough. Come on, let's go. You can do this. But what happens when, okay, so he says, there's a whole bunch of stuff he says when you're, well, let me see if this is, we need to go over this. Okay, so he says, let's say you do manage to get one nail in the wall. All the mental gymnastics and the garbage that you had to go through to make a chainsaw work as a hammer, you're probably never going to want to put another nail in the wall again, right? It's all that emotional spider webs around it that you're like, I'm good. I don't want to do that again. That was too messy. It was too hard. I stretched too much. I had to do too much mental gymnastics. So then he says, Don't your outward actions look something like this? Then you start to complain about how hard it is to put nails in the wall. You badmouth Christy and say, oh, she's just such a dork. Like, how am I ever supposed to get anywhere listening to that idiot? You make excuses about putting nails in the walls. You start, your emotional and mental health starts to suffer because you're not taking care of yourself. You take it out on your spouse and kids. You look for ways to veg out and kind of like get out of it, avoid it. You're always looking for someplace else, some better place to work, because work is so unfulfilling. The real problem is not that you can't do the job. The real problem is you're beating yourself up for not being able to do a job when you have been given a tool that is completely wrong for the job you're trying to do. Okay? So he basically just says, liken that to your life. How often do you feel like you want to do something, you have the best intentions, but you just don't have the right dang tool? So then he says the assumption that's costing us all this energy, all this time, all this mental gymnastics, there's one assumption. I'm going to skip some of this. He says traditional success programs taught us the how-tos of success because traditional teachers assumed that you and I had more why-tos of success than more why-not-tos, okay? So picture this. Someone goes to write a book about how you can be successful. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. But they're assuming
you could have brought it back.
They are assuming that taking a look at your iceberg, that it's flipped. They're thinking this person has more why-tos that are conscious than more why-not-tos. And is that the case in most cases? Most people, it looks exactly like the diagram. 10% is conscious, 90% is unconscious, okay? So that's a huge problem, and that's the assumption that's making all of these shelf help books stay on the shelf and not actually help us make change. So he talked about the most amazing part about all of this is it represents the key to your freedom, success, and fulfillment, which is so exciting. You can never solve a why-to problem with a how-to solution. Oh, like heavens are parting. This is amazing. We don't need any more how-tos. We know how to do this. We know how to be successful, but we need more how-to. We need more why-tos. We need more why-tos in our subconscious, okay? Read that sentence again, because if you're holding yourself back from success, you don't have a how-to problem. You have a why-to or why-not-to problem. You can never solve a why-to problem with a how-to solution. And he said, this is why Americans are spending billions of dollars on self-help books, yet most remain stuck. You've spent all this money, all this time on the how-tos, but then we are unconscious at allowing ourselves to succeed. Okay, so then he talks about the 4 steps of traditional success programs. Number 1, set your goals. Know what you want. Number 2, do something. Take action toward your goal. Number 3, evaluate. Am I getting closer or further away? Number 4, try again. Adjust your approach until you reach your goals. Can you see the problem there? That's all how-tos, right? That's great. We know how to do it. That's not the problem, okay? So he says, you know, so if people don't have success after applying the how-tos, then the question is, oh, you must not be motivated enough. Maybe you're not working hard enough. Maybe you're not intelligent enough. Maybe you're incapable of succeeding. Just a minute, that's not true. Here's what that really means. And he said, here's the 4 steps of the real world. Number 1, the fog. We don't really know what we want. We're not really clear. We do a really great job on this team of helping people get crystal clear as much as we possibly can on their why, right? That's one of the first things we say. Why would you want to do this? Why would it matter to you? Why would it make a difference in your family? And this is why we do that, because we want to sink into the why-tos as soon as we can and as deep as we can, okay? But generally speaking, people don't know what they really want. And I think still we'll maybe define a why, but maybe it's not deep enough. Maybe we aren't really, really digging into why we want to do this. So we really aren't clear on that. Number 2, we're treadmilling. We're really, really busy, working, but we're getting nowhere. Step 3, we feel like a failure because we compare ourselves to everybody else and we come up short. So then there comes the negative self-talk and we start to beat the shiz out of ourselves. And then number 4, we try again. We keep trying and doing the same thing over, hoping things will be different, right? The definition of insanity. We do the same things over and over and over, hoping to get a different result. Okay, so let's talk about this. He says, so he just explains, we have a fog. We don't know what we want. We're treadmilling because we're working so hard. We're working so many hours doing plexus. We're worrying about plexus all day long, and it's not getting us anywhere. Darn it! We don't get paid for worrying about plexus. Isn't that such a bummer? We don't get paid for stressing out about that person that's ignoring us. That's not working. So we're treadmilling. We're working, but we're not getting anywhere, right? So then we go to feeling like a failure, because of course we're not going to get anywhere with that. So then we go, well, that girl over there, she's doing it. Like, she's hitting the rank. She's doing the things. Why am I not doing the things? I suck. I can't do this. And then here comes that big old nasty iceberg of why not to's starts popping up. Oh yeah, see, I told you couldn't do this. You're not cut out for this. You're just not a network marketer. All this stuff, that's just not going to work for you. All this stuff starts to surface when we're on the step 3. Then step 4 is you try again. And who wants to keep trying again through that vicious freaking cycle? Does that sound good? To do number 1, 2, 3, comparing yourself, treadmilling, and then not really knowing what you want? I don't want to do that again and again. I don't want to try that again. So he talks about, here's the biggest shock of all, he says, if you want to reach your full potential, you don't need any more how to succeed information. Guys, if you are in Synergy Plexus Builders, you don't need one more how-to. Not one. We have so many how-tos out there. That's the last thing you need, okay? So he talks about, he says, I know that sounds crazy, even blasphemous to these people who have spent tons of money on all these how to succeed programs. But that's the very point. You've spent all that time, money, and energy, and you're still not where you want to be, and your foot is still on the brake. That's why I'm not going to teach you how to succeed. Not because I don't want to, but because I don't have to. You've been told all you need to know about how to succeed. Now it's time that you allow yourself to succeed to your full potential. It's time to get your foot off the dang freaking brake, you didn't say that, in your life, career, and relationships for good. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Whoa! Are you guys excited? I love it. So a quick recap. He says, there's a secret to becoming highly successful. It's learning how to let yourself succeed, okay? We don't want to be unconscious, because when we're unconscious, then our unconscious is going to help us not succeed, because we're not aware of that black, stinky, dark basement with mold growing down there, right? Number 2, what really causes human behavior is your internal why to's and why not to's. The reason you perceive why to do something or not to. And I love that it's all perception. It's all just, we have our glasses on. It's our experiences. It's our filters. It's our stuff from our lives that we wear all the time. We see the world through our glasses and we say, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense for me because I can't spend the time. And someone else sees it and says, I can't not spend the time because I'm sick and tired of not having the time. It's all about how we perceive it, and then they start to get filed into those 2 separate compartments, the why to's and the why not to's. Okay, so therefore the reason you're holding yourself back from success has nothing to do with your how to's. It has to do with uncovering your subconscious, your why not to's of allowing yourself to be truly successful. Flip those freaking lights on. Time to do some rearranging, right? Number 4, holding yourself back from success is a why to and a why not to problem. You can never solve a why to problem with a how to solution. And then he talks about how we've been taught the 4 steps in traditional success. There's nothing wrong with this, but we've got to go deeper. We've got to figure out the why to's. Okay, and then he says, if you want to get your foot off the brake for good, stop spending your hard-earned money on more how-tos of success. And I would say in Plexus, in our businesses, stop spending your time searching for something. Oh, there's got to be some sort of magical answer for this, or there's got to be some sort of magical cold message I can send that's going to get all the responses, or there really isn't a magic secret answer. Instead, focus on your internal why to's and why not to's of success and take the appropriate steps to restore the proper balance. Why? Because using the right tool, the steps provided in this book will produce greater results faster, easier, and with less effort than you're spending now. Boom! Did you hear that? Using these tools, we will get faster success, easier than what we're doing right now. Are you guys in for that? Like, I know when I had that breakthrough in Starbucks bathroom, yes, I'm all about it. Like, let's get better results with the time we're putting in. Instead of spending all this time spinning our wheels and treadmilling, we're going to learn how to hit the ground running and be able to get better results, faster results, easier. Okay, when I was in that Starbucks bathroom and I was afraid of momentum, that was a 50 million pound weight on my shoulders, because it was all that nasty 90% in the dark basement growing, all these spider webs on it. As soon as I flipped the lights on and said, now hold on a minute, what are you really afraid of? Is that even real? The perception of momentum was a big fat lie. It wasn't what I thought it was. When I stepped into that momentum and I said, you know what? God's on my side. He knows my desires. He knows I love my kids and my family more than anything in the world. He knows all that, and he's telling me to do this. I'm gonna take my dang foot off the brake and move forward. You guys, guess what? The results started to come faster. It became easier. I enjoyed it more. I took that 50 million pound weight off my shoulders, and we could actually go. And we went fast and big and hard and easier. I know this is totally what we can do to help ourselves get awesome results. And I'm so excited to dig into this book. Does anybody have any thoughts as we finish up here that you want to share, or breakthroughs? Anybody have a breakthrough they had or something they really loved while they were reading? Laura, Kim, Susie, Crystal, Julie, Kim, anyone? Liz, let's hear it.
So it kind of ties into what I was saying earlier today, but one of the things that I was struggling with for a while was my time with my family, my husband and all that. And I just said this to a couple ladies today, that one of the problems is not the time, it's how I'm looking at my time. And it's because my husband said, was telling someone else, yeah, the hours are all the time. And it dawned on me that problem with that is it's all perception. It's not all the time. It's that it's any time. Right. But if I plug into that time when I can, and I make it my time in those chunks, then I can control it better. And that's when it becomes manageable. But if I'm going 90 miles an hour every day, I will burn out so fast. Guys, I've done it, and it doesn't work. Yeah. So and you'll sacrifice everything. So it's finding those times, but it's that nobody can do that but me. Yeah. And so it's realizing that I have to pick my hours, pick my times, pick what works for my family, what works for my husband, and knowing that there are times where I can't do this because I have to put them first, but I will get to it, and I will. Yeah. And it's understanding that creates that momentum that you're able to manage, that you can do. You can have a job and do this, or you can be mom and do this. And that's what I'm working on right now, because 90 miles an hour for about 2 weeks kicks your trash for the rest of the month, and you're out, and you burn out too fast, and then you got to rebuild back up the momentum. And I did it for a long time, and that's when I realized. So anyway, the point was, if you think you're doing it and then you just go, that's awesome. But if you don't manage your time and prioritize your time, you will burn out. Yeah. And it's a fact. Well, and that's something I've just,
not a sprint.
You know that too. Yeah. So anyway, it just reminded me of the treadmill. It was like, that's not real. That's not real. James wasn't seeing it right, but I wasn't showing him right. Anyway, that was something that dawned on me for these, especially as you get going, as you guys on my team here that are just getting going. It's just realizing that that's a really important piece of this business, is prioritizing your time. You'll do better, longer, faster, harder.
Yep. It's consistency. It's that drip effect. It's think about a drip. Constant dripping all the time is way better than a fire hose for just like 10 seconds. Like the amount of water is the same, but and
it's manageable.
The slow drip, you're going to eventually create a divot in a rock that's hard. But if you just do a fire hose with the same amount of water, you're not going to do anything, and you burn out and you're out of water. But it's the slow drip. It's saying, okay, when can I do my plexus time? being dead serious about it. And then when is my family time and being dead serious about it? When is my husband time? Dead serious about it. When is my kids time? It takes some discipline, but that is the most effective way to do this long term because it's a marathon. We're not in this for a sprint. We want to be around, to finish with the marathon. Anyone else? Lara, did you have something to say, or were you just touching your cute hair?
No, I don't know. Yeah, my cute. Yeah.
You're not
I think that I don't know if anyone else went through this, but when I started listening to the book, it like all of my why not tos like came to the surface. And it took me a few days to kind of work through those and go back. And I think having like a very, very get down to the deep why is the most important.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I go, it's like, this is what I know I'm supposed to be doing. Like ultimately, when I get down to the nitty gritty, I know I'm where I'm supposed to be. And that's what always brings me back. But I feel like every fear came to the surface and I had to go through those. And I had to work through them, of all my why not tos and why. And I think it is what Liz says. And because most of I have a large family. I have a lot of kids. I'm pregnant with my 10th and trying to find that time. And it's, taking that time and writing it in my planner. That's what I've started to do, my diamond time, and leaving the house and getting it done and being intentional for those few hours I have. And then when I come home, I'm able to be mom and I'm able to put it aside. I leave my phone in my bedroom and don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. And then I get to it when I have that time. So I think that's been the most success for me is leaving, because otherwise there's too many things to go on or too many things I need to be doing. But I don't know if I know that me and Susie did, because we talked about it. Like when I first started, it was like all of my fears, everything came forward, but it was acknowledging them for what they were.
Yes.
And then, processing them. Okay, this is what I'm scared about or whatever. And kind of going through and taking a few days and processing what it really was. I don't know if I'm even making sense.
Well, it's flipping on the lights. That's exactly it. It's bringing the fears out, because once you expose the fears, they're kind of done, because then you can actually start to work through it. Like Kelly Norman talks about how she had us write out all of our fears. We did this on Ruby Retreat.
Oh, yeah.
Wrote out all of our fears, all the BS, and then another piece of paper directly across from it, we put the truth. Because once you expose the fears for what they are, they lose their power. It's flipping on the lights and saying, no, what's going on down here? All you naughty kids causing all these problems down here, get back upstairs. Like, no. So that's exactly what it is. You're acknowledging it.
Well, and writing them down, it's funny because I actually wrote them down in this notebook I have a few months ago. And I went back to them and I was flipping through the notebook and I saw my fears. And some of them are kind of laughable now.
Right.
I was like, I really felt that way. That is so interesting.
Yes.
Because that's not my personality to feel this way, but they're all just lies that, are being told to us. And so as we write them down and expose them for what they are, it does know that they no longer have power. Just like I had this fear this last little bit of reaching out to my level ones I haven't reached out to in a while because they're going to cancel their orders. And it was like, what, at the end of the day, I need to be supporting them. And if they chose to cancel, then they'd cancel. And it doesn't diminish what I'm creating here.
Right.
And the momentum, but it's exposing those fears is a huge part of it.
Just a curiosity, this is Matt. Are they a lot of the same fears over and over, or do they change?
I think it changes, but I think it's probably all stems from the same thing, I'm sure. But I think they change. I don't know, because some of the fears I wrote down, I was like, that's kind of crazy. I would even feel that. So I think it's just whatever we tell ourselves at that moment.
And there's layers. It's kind of like detoxing. There's kind of different phases where you start to like, oh, interesting. I feel like every single rank up, I've had like a really hard time and then a freaking awesome breakthrough right after it. Like really dark times right before Sapphire when I tried to do an accountability call and I'm just sobbing. Every single rank, it's like digging deeper and deeper to grow and become better and exposing the whole freaking basement for what it is, like I feel like you can kind of do it in layers, but at some point, it's all going to have to come out in order for you to keep growing. Kim, were you going to say something? Kimberly. Uh-oh, you're muted, babe. But I do want to hear your beautiful voice.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just think it's interesting how in the book, you know, he talks about just how we will do anything to avoid fear, and we start to do that self-sabotage. And I have seen this over and over again, just doing this business. I get into these modes of fear, and I totally start self-sabotaging because I want to avoid that. And something that I think everyone has learned, and it's just a good reminder, is when you start to feel that fear, the thing that's going to bring you out the quickest is action. And so sending out cold messages, even though you hate them, even though that's your fear, because you know what's your response going to be, or inviting someone to a group, or doing a live, those kind of things, when you start moving forward and putting yourself into action, that's when all of a sudden the fear kind of subsides and you get back into that, oh, you know what, I am helping people, I'm bringing light to people. And it's just a good reminder of that. It's just so easy to sabotage when you get back into action. You remember why you're doing what you're doing. It just comes full circle. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, boom, I got this. You know what? We're going to move forward, and this is good.
Ooh, I love that. It's just all about exposing it. It's like we can, like you're saying, we can choose to let the fear take us over, and then we stay stuck, and then we start to be dark and cold and moldy, or we bust right through it and keep moving, and that it can't, the darkness can't creep in when we're moving, right?
Right.
Ooh, I love that. You guys are awesome. Okay, so next week we will do, I haven't like broken down exactly the weeks, but let's see, I'm really kind of excited to dig into this. Like maybe I'll read the whole book and then just go back, right? We'll probably do, let's do 3 and 4 next week. Yeah, I think that's good because there's a lot of good stuff to talk about. So we'll do 3 and 4 for next week, and then I'll talk to somebody about who wants to lead it, because I know that's more fun to hear from more people. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I love it. Look how many people are on this call tonight. This is so awesome. This is as many people that are gonna like bust through their freaking fears and turn on the light and like make it happen. I'm so excited, and I'm so happy you guys came. This is so fun. So thank you. I love you all. Mwah. Create such a beautiful night, and we'll talk to you all soon, okay? Bye, guys.